Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Tonight on Coyote News, we take you behind the scenes to some of USD's latest medical research projects and find out what students can expect from this Saturday's TEDx Talks.
Plus, learn more about how USD's athletic department handles serious injuries like concussions and highlights from the Coyotes away game against UNI.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Hendry.
And I'm Brand Noel. We'll get to those stories and more in just a few minutes. First, the headlines with Levi Goots.
New information is suggesting that the crash of a Russian plane in Egypt on Saturday was likely caused by a bomb planted on the plane by ISIS or an ISIS affiliate. The crash killed 224 people. U.S. officials say the intelligence community hasn't reached a formal conclusion on the cause of the crash. Officials say an attacker who stabbed 5 people at the University of California, Merced this morning was a male student. He was shot and killed by police. University spokesman James Leonard says the identity of the shooter hasn't been confirmed. 2 victims were airlifted to hospitals, but their conditions weren't immediately known. Officials say 3 others had injuries minor enough for treatment on campus. And those are your headlines.
This Saturday, USD will become the first campus in South Dakota to hold a TEDx Talk. TED is a nonprofit organization devoted to spreading ideas, usually in the form of short, powerful talks. TED covers topics ranging from science to business to global issues in more than 100 languages.
Dozens of companies.
We actually have 6 speakers that'll be speaking on different topics, so it ranges from LGBT issues in the law to polymers and chemistry to creating a career for yourself in South Dakota.
The event will be held in Farber Hall and will be live streamed in the muck. Arns says a platform like TED will help push USD towards becoming a nationally recognized school.
I think this is a way that we can kind of insert ourselves there, take another step further, but in a different area that's not athletics.
The TEDx Talk originally had 100 tickets for students to attend, all of which have sold out.
Among other work, one USD medical professor is researching a sexually transmitted disease. As Michaela Feldman finds out on this week's Yote Report, this is just one of many cutting-edge research projects underway in Vermillion.
When most people see the Lee Medical School, they think about classes, nurses, and doctors. But throughout the building, students and faculty are conducting cutting-edge research. Associate Dean for Research Robin Miskimmins says watching people be successful in their research is what she likes most about her job. She says there are always more questions to ask when conducting a project.
I think research is it's a good part of a university. I guess I would say that having research as a part of the undergraduate experience particularly, as well as having graduate programs, is something that helps people see where they can go and what they can do.
Depending on what stage the research project is at, a faculty member may not get much time to be in their lab. In rooms just like this, the USD Medical School is working on over 60 different research projects, both here at USD and at other locations. The brain doesn't like to be wrong. Every day we interact with our surroundings and it seems natural to us. However, there are a lot of predictions that are required to successfully react with our surroundings. Assistant Professor Lee Boss studies how skilled movements are obtained. His research focuses on how we become so good at interacting with the environment. Baugh also studies the problems that can occur following a stroke or other damage to the brain.
Right at the moment, we're really on the cutting edge of performing this sort of research, and it's not at the point at which we're doing rehabilitation trials. So we're really attempting to understand the specific deficits that follow certain types of brain damage as it relates to skilled movement.
A research project focusing on chlamydia is being conducted 1 floor up. Chlamydia is the world's leading cause of infectious blindness. Assistant Professor Lisa Rux studies the microorganism pathogen chlamydia that people associate with a sexually transmitted disease.
And this is all new. Genetics and chlamydia is a new field in general. And we're asking the organism to express it, and then we're following not only where it goes in the cell, but what it's tagging in the process.
The research in both Baugh's and Rux projects have been going on for almost 10 years. For the Yote Report, I'm Michaela Feldman.
Most of the students conducting research are working toward becoming a PhD. When students want a new Coyote sweatshirt or other university-branded items, they usually head to the bookstore in the muck. Now, Coyote fans have the option to shop for these items at the seasonal USD store in the Sioux Falls Empire Mall. Coyote News' Michael Guerin is live with Marketing Director Tina Harrelson to discuss the impact this store has on the university. Michael?
That's right, Brandon. A bigger store means more options for anyone in the Sioux Falls area and an option in Sioux City. Tina Harrelson's team runs the operation in Sioux Falls. And can you tell me a little bit about what this expansion is? You started as a cart, now it's a big store in Empire Mall.
That's right. We started with just a merchandise cart in the hall. We went to a 650 square foot store last year, and this year now we have a 4,000 square foot store.
And there's advertising on the outside of Empire Mall, correct?
Right. This time our location had outside windows, and so we have a great big sign. It's red. It glows in the dark. I think people are going to be able to find us.
Yeah. And you've got a new theme this year, House Divided. Tell me a little bit about that.
That is something that has happened in other states that have like a state university and another university that are always head-to-head in competition, but it just hasn't been seen in South Dakota yet. So we worked with SDSU, and we will have shirts and a lot of other merchandise that will say House Divided, and they will have both a coyote and a jackrabbit.
And also in Sioux City, you've got an operation starting at another store. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we haven't had our own merchandise in the Sioux City market yet, but this year in the Singing Hills Mall, we are going to have a lot of coyote gift items and some clothing in a store called Blingin' Fashion, and it's kind of near where the Santa goes in the Sioux City Mall. So we're hoping to see a lot of our fans there.
All right, thank you very much, Tina. A lot of options, and of course, if you're in Vermilion, you can always go to the USD bookstore, and there's retailers across Vermilion that also sell stuff. Reporting live in the muck, I'm Michael Guerin for Coyote News.
Thanks, Michael. Coming up after the break, the Political Science Club invites the community to discuss important political issues. Plus, a USD sorority raises money for Autism Speaks. Stay with us.
Fostering is when you take in an animal into your home and you take care of them until we can find them a permanent forever home.
If you can find it in your heart to do it, it's rewarding.
We do all the vetting, the neutering, the spaying, the medications.
The Humane Society has lots and lots of great dogs and cats that can pull at your heartstrings and make you realize you got a little more to give.
This is Coyote News.
Picking the next president of the United States is still a year away, but one campus organization says it's never too early to start discussing political issues. USD's Political Science Group and members of the community gathered for their monthly meeting called Pints and Policy. Participants were able to voice their beliefs on anything from who should be president to the topic of medical marijuana in the South Dakota state. Shane Nordyke says it doesn't matter who you are, anyone can participate.
You don't have to be particularly informed about the topic to come. You can come if you just want to learn more and hear other people discuss about it in an intellectual way. If you're really informed about it and you want to come and contribute that, then that's awesome too.
Nordyke also says that small groups of people tend to feel more comfortable discussing political topics because their voices can be heard. Pints and Policy discussions take place on the first Monday of every month at the Roadhouse in Vermilion.
Alpha Zeta Delta sorority chapters all across the country work to raise money for their national philanthropy, Autism Speaks. USD's chapter did their part last night by hosting their annual chili feed. Students and community members filled the St. Agnes Elementary Gym to support the disorder that affects nearly 1 in every 68 children. Sorority members served up an all-you-can-eat meal that included chili, cornbread, and salad. The event also featured a bake sale with fresh cupcakes and bars. Autism Speaks bracelets were also sold. Alpha Zeta Delta members prepared enough food for about 600 people, and they say the event continues to grow each year. Last year, the event raised close to $2,500. Coming up after the break, one campus organization recognizes Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Plus, find out how the Teoshbe Student Council is already fundraising for their annual Wachipi. Stay tuned.
The Latino Student Student Organization is a all-inclusive student organization that focuses on bringing in Latino culture to University of South Dakota. We do fiestas, we do piñata parties. We also just hold potlucks where we cook and we just share Latino culture and food and just mingle.
This is Coyote News.
Last night, the Teospe Student Council hosted a taco sale to raise money for their annual Huachipi. Even though the annual spring event is partly paid for by outside sources, it's mainly supported by student fundraising events, like the taco sale. Teospe's events took place at the Native American Cultural Center and was open to students and the public. In the Lakota language, Teospe means extended family. The Students' Council's main goal is to be a home away from home for students. Teospe hosts an Indian taco sale on the first Tuesday of every month. The Huachipi will take place this March in the Dakota Dome.
Before we flipped our calendars to November, one campus organization recognized October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month with a new event. Coyote News' Carmen Susan reports.
A small group of supporters for breast cancer awareness gathered on an early October evening for the Women in Law event, Walk for the Cure. The walk is one of several activities the organization hosts in support of breast cancer awareness.
Once we're done with that, we're just going to kind of count all that we have raised from these different breast cancer awareness events and then donate them to the local patients here at Sanford and Navira.
Walk for the Cure also has a personal meaning for participants and members, as they wore name tags throughout the event in honor and recognition of loved ones who are affected by the disease.
We wanted to do something to raise awareness and raise some funds for breast cancer research. And I have a few family members that have been affected by breast cancer.
Michelle also says events like these are beneficial for students and contribute in helping to raise awareness. The planning for activities and anticipated attendance can become conflicting when factoring in other campus events and the changing fall weather.
It was very cold and windy out, and it was even snowing on and off today too, so I think that made people reluctant to come out and be outside and run around.
Men are also welcome to attend and get involved with the organization. Women in Law will be having a clothing drive later this month and again in the spring, with the proceeds going to scholarships for Women in Law members. For Coyote News, I'm Carmen Susan.
On this week's Coyote blog, Andy Hartman discusses that difficult point in the year where we have to decide whether it's time to turn on the heat or not.
We've reached that point of the semester where university housing's decided to turn on the heat in the dorms, regardless of the fact that it's still an average of 60 degrees outside, which basically means that my dorm room is roughly 9,000 degrees. Okay, 9,000 is a bit of an exaggeration. It's more like 2,000 degrees, give or take 1,920. But it's still really hot in there. I want to start putting up Christmas decorations, but I can't. I can't put up Christmas lights while wearing shorts. This isn't California. It wouldn't feel right. If I'm paying thousands of dollars to live in the dorms, I'd rather not melt. Then again, if I do melt into a puddle, I'd probably get out doing my history project. But I doubt that's what housing's going for. I've tried just about everything to cool down my room. I've turned on fans, but they're small fans and don't do much. I've opened my window, but it's still pretty warm outside, and all that's really doing is replacing the warm air in my room with new warm air. I've tried just turning off the heating system altogether, but I've recently discovered that my thermostat does not work. Awesome. I've also been drinking a lot of water, but it hasn't really helped too much. Honestly, it just makes me have to go to the bathroom a lot. And the bathrooms are also 9,000 degrees. My room temperature is driving me nuts. The other day, I spent over an hour in Walmart just walking around because at least Walmart is air conditioned. But that walking around made me find stuff I wanted to buy, and I may or may not have bought a Chewbacca Christmas tree ornament and a John Cusack DVD. So not only has my warm room made me miserable, it's made my bank account miserable. It made me buy things I didn't need to buy, except not really, because I'm actually super excited about my Chewbacca ornament and my John Cusack DVD. But still, if housing could turn down the heat a bit, that'd be great. For Coyote Blog, I'm Andy Hartman.
Thanks, Andy. Coming up after the break, the Coyote football team snaps their 2-game winning streak. And find out how the USD Athletic Department handles a serious injury. Stay with us.
This is Coyote News.
Tonight on Coyote Sports, the women's soccer team makes program history, and Coyote News' Sean Bauer is live with a member of the cross-country team to talk about their big weekend. I'm Erica Arpan.
And I'm Anthony Gosh. The volleyball team began a 3 homestand this past weekend and learned more about how USD handles a very serious injury. But first, the headlines. Levi?
Yesterday, an estimated 800,000 people attended the Kansas City Royals World Series Champion Parade. The Royals defeated the New York Mets on Sunday 7-2 to win their first World Series title in over 30 years. The woman accusing Chicago Blackhawks star Patrick Kane with rape says she no longer wants to cooperate with the investigation. Investigators say the accuser is not interested in going forward due to the stress it's putting on her and her family. She also signed an affidavit declining prosecution last week, preventing her from testifying if the case does move forward. 9-year-old Wyatt Barber died on Monday after collapsing during football practice at Meigs County, Ohio. Barber collapsed on the sideline after taking a break from practice. Barber was rushed to the emergency room but was pronounced dead Monday night. This is the 8th football-related death since early September. And those are your headlines.
The women's cross-country team won their 2nd consecutive Summit League Conference championship on Saturday. Coyote News' Sean Bauer is live in the muck with senior runner Kelsey Barrett to talk about the team's accomplishments this season. Sean?
Thanks, Erica. The Coyotes defeated rival SDSU by 8 points to claim their 2nd consecutive Summit League championship. I'm here with senior runner Kelsey Barrett to talk about the team's meet this past Saturday. Thanks for coming by and stopping by with us, Kelsey. First off, back-to-back conference champs. Does the sound of that ever get old?
Oh, absolutely not. No. It was the goal going into the season, and we kind of knew we could do it. We were picked as favorites, but actually achieving it is super sweet. So.
And you said you guys were picked as the favorites. You won it last year coming in. Did the pressure this year ever get to you guys, or how did you maintain your focus to kind of avoid that?
You know, there was definitely pressure, I would say, especially on the incoming freshmen. That's a big role to fill. We didn't lose any of our scorers from last year, but we did have a couple injuries. So having a target on your back is kind of intimidating because you don't know where to place your target necessarily. So.
Now, you improved 2 spots from last year's meet to make it the first team all-conference tournament this year. What was kind of the key to your success?
You know, you go into the meet and our coach always says, first you run to win, and then you run for place, and then you run for time. Because if you run to win, those things will just land in your lap a little bit. And so my goal was to think every second of the race, what can I do to help my team win? And so one of my teammates wasn't having the best day, and I was like, ooh, that's my spot. I have to step up or this isn't going to happen for us. And so 4th wasn't really a goal. It just kind of fell into place for me.
Okay, now you guys have the Midwest Regional here in 2 weeks. What do you guys have to do in order to advance to the national meet?
So the top 2 teams from every region qualify, and then the top 5 individuals that aren't on that team qualify. So, and then you can get a wild card bid. It gets kind of complicated, but all we have to do is place as high as we can. It's just a matter of passing as many girls at the end of the race. It's super stacked. So.
Well, that was senior runner Kelsey Barrett. Her and the Coyotes compete November 13th in Lawrence, Kansas for the NCAA Midwest Regional. Live from the muck for Coyote News, I'm Sean Bauer.
Thanks, Sean. Another USD team is making great strides in conference play. For the first time in Coyote history, the women's soccer team is heading to the Summit League Conference Tournament following a 2-0 win against Fort Wayne on Sunday. Junior Corey Strang got the scoring started in the 35th minute on a feed from Sammy Vilwalk, and just 4 minutes later added her 2nd of the game on a penalty kick. The Coyotes headed up to Brookings this afternoon for the conference tourney and take on top-seeded NDSU tomorrow night at 6. USD dropped its only matchup with the Bison this year 1-0 in extra time. The Coyote football team scored the first 7 points of the game, but were shut out the rest of the way as they fell to UNI 20-7 on Saturday. Ryan Sager found Brant Van Rukel for a 23-yard touchdown in the first quarter to give the Coyotes the lead. The Panthers responded with 14 points of their own in the second quarter for the 14-7 halftime lead and added 2 field goals in the second half for the win. Sager finished with 133 yards passing, while Van Rukel led the way with a career high of 89 receiving yards. The loss snaps USD's 2-game winning streak and drops them 4-4 on the season. They return to the Dakota Dome this Saturday as they host Southern Illinois. When they step on the field for a football game, all athletes, especially football players, run the risk of sustaining serious injuries, like concussions. Tonight, Coyote News' Luke Bryant takes us to the Dakota Dome to find out how the USD Athletic Department handles this dangerous injury.
Concussions are a concerning field of injury for many athletes, especially football players. This specific injury has also begun to shape the world of sports.
When the brain has moved rapidly inside the skull, a concussion has occurred. A couple scenarios that lead to a concussion are usually a blow to the head or a whiplash to the body.
When the brain is injured, athletes have to pass a series of various tests. Bruce Fishbach says the beginning to a concussion starts when an athlete first steps on campus.
When we start getting ready to deal with concussions, actually the work for that starts when they first get here, because we want to do a baseline neurocognitive test on them. So we use a program called IMPACT.
The IMPACT test is a computer assessment where an athlete sits in front of a computer for 20 to 30 minutes and takes the test. When the athlete gets a concussion, they retake the test and the two results are compared. When an athlete does get a concussion, the trainers take immediate action.
If you come to us and present with any of those signs and symptoms, headache, dizziness, then we have a graded physical response before we let you come back. We're going to see if you can handle some push-ups and sit-ups and then maybe jog.
Fishbach says athletes who suffer concussion during a game are not allowed back onto the field. For Coyote News, I'm Luke Bryant.
Studies have found that sports-related incidents caused more than 1.6 million concussions this past year.
The women's volleyball team fell to Denver last night in the Coyote Den. This was the Coyotes' second matchup this season against the Pioneers. The first set saw both teams striking back and forth until Denver finally pulled away, scoring a 10-6 run. In set 2, the score was tied 10 times as the Coyotes couldn't stop a 6-2 run. In set 3, the Pioneers never let up, scoring another 25 kills to ultimately win the night. Junior Audrey Rieg led the Coyotes with 12 kills, and sophomore setter Brittany Jessen had a match high of 34 assists. The Coyotes will have their chance to strike back this Friday as they faced Western Illinois at their home court in Macomb, Illinois. On this week's Reiners Report, Devin discusses how one NFL player pushed through a tragic loss this weekend.
On Sunday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Atlanta Falcons 23-20 in overtime. The Buccaneers defense forced 4 Falcons turnovers, anchored by rookie linebacker Quan Alexander. Alexander played an outstanding game, forcing a fumble and intercepting a Matt Ryan pass. Under normal circumstances, a performance like that is incredible, but he was playing with a heavy heart. Less than 48 hours prior to the game, Alexander's 17-year-old brother, Broderick Taylor, was shot and killed. Alexander decided to play despite the tragedy because he said his brother would have wanted him to play. Alexander honored his brother by playing the best game of his life. When I heard that Alexander had played so well despite just losing his brother, I was amazed. I can't imagine even playing so soon after something like that. But to play that well is completely mind-blowing. Many players later said they dedicated the game to Alexander and his brother. Alexander expressed his appreciation for his teammates' support after the game. This shows how close these guys are to each other and that they consider their teammates as brothers of their own. Alexander was given the game ball in the locker room. It was great to see how his teammates rallied around him and played so well. And that's the Reiners Report.
Thanks, Devin. Coming up next on this week's edition of Coyote Shorts, we take a look at how a blind date gone wrong. Stay with us.
Climbing's awesome because it's challenging, both mentally and physically.
You gotta love climbing because even when you're not climbing, you get a great view.
Climbing's great because I feel like Spider-Man.
Climbing is great, because even my nerd friends can do it.
Climbing's awesome because there's always someone who has your back.
figure out why climbing's awesome for you.
Fostering is when you take in an animal into your home and you take care of them until we can find them a permanent forever home.
If you can find it in your heart to do it, it's rewarding.
We do all the vetting, the neutering, the spaying, the medications.
The Humane Society has lots and lots of great dogs and cats that can pull at your heartstrings and make you realize you got a little more to give.
This is Coyote News.
Even though trick-or-treating for this year is over, we're still recognizing our sweet tooth with National Candy Day.
On this week's Out and About, we ask students what their favorite candy is.
So what's your favorite candy?
My favorite candy would have to be...
Take 5. Take 5? Yeah.
I don't have one.
Sour Patch Kids. My favorite candy? Snickers.
Snickers.
It would be gummy worms.
Stubbers.
Well, sour gummy worms, because they're freaking delicious.
Skittles.
Starburst.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
My favorite candy is a Kit Kat.
Kit Kats.
Jelly beans, but anything that would be organic, basically. I love sweeter things, not chocolate.
I've never had candy before.
My favorite candy is Snickers.
Reese's Cups.
My favorite candy is Milka chocolate, which is a specific type of European chocolate, and it's really hard to find in South Dakota, which makes me really sad.
Definitely M&M's. Sour Patch Kids.
100-gram bar.
My favorite candy is white chocolate.
I like Mentos. Love Mentos. That's my favorite candy.
On this week's edition of Coyote Shorts, we go behind the scenes of a blind date gone wrong.
Hey Kat, so how'd your blind date with Joe I set you up on go?
Where do I start?
I'm sure it was great, but let me tell you about mine first. So first we had an amazing dinner. And then we watched one of my favorite movies at my place. And then we cuddled. But anyways, tell me about your date.
Well, first of all, I had to pick him up.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Sorry you had to pick me up. My mom took my car from me. You hungry? I know just the place.
He told me to pull into the McDonald's drive-thru. When he grabbed his drink over me, he smelt my hair.
Hey, how about a movie?
All right. He tells me to pull into this little corner off the road, whips out his iPod, and plays Star Wars.
Oh, I love this one.
2 hours later.
You know, I think I'm gonna head home. I'll just drop you off quick.
Oh, but I wanted to take you back to my house so I could destroy you. Oh yeah, take that. Take that. Come on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, take that. Yes. Oh.
At least you got a free meal.
I had to pay.
We'll have a newscast next week due to the Veterans Day holiday, but be sure to tune in to Cable Channel 21 next Thursday and Friday at 5 to see the Cross Media Council's USD versus SDSU pregame special. We'll be talking with coaches, players, and sports reporters about the upcoming rivalry game and what fans can expect from the Coyotes.
That's all for Coyote News. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.